My name is Gary Gurr. I work for Ventev Wireless Infrastructure, and the next topic is how do you conceal Wi-Fi access points in indoor carpeted environment. So this is our final topic. This is going to be very quick. Truly appreciate your time, your patience, your interest. All right, so indoor carpeted environment. So this is a product many people don't think about. And unless we actually show the product, people have no idea we have it. Once they see it, once they think about it, they're thinking, huh. And then they deploy it throughout their network. So pretty much, we're talking about, the product we're going to discuss is seal and tile enclosures to support indoor carpeted application. So access points, need to be protected. Why? Well, one is aesthetics. More and more we hear from our customers, you know what, I don't want to see anything electronic. I don't want to see cabling. I don't want to see anybody's brands. I just want it to be as inconspicuous as possible. We hear about security a lot. People steal stuff they can see. They can tamper with it. We've heard cases where in one college access points were hanging off the ceiling. People got smart. They went to the access point. They didn't steal the access point, but they disconnected RJ45 and they used RJ45 for their own use. So while they had suddenly a lot of bandwidth, nobody else had Wi-Fi. And of course, protection from the environment, be it dust, debris, impact, cold temperature. Whether it's healthcare, where there are actually standards telling that you cannot use access points in an open air environment within a seal and tile grid, or corporate offices or education where security and protection is critical, or enterprises where aesthetics is critical. We're seeing more and more applications where people are saying, we don't want to see the access points. So find a solution to hide them. We came up with a line of seal and tile enclosures that improve aesthetics of your environment. They hide the access points. They offer the security. They simplify migration to the next generation. And they protect the access points against environmental controls, environmental challenges, whether it's dust, whether it's, again, debris, whether it's cable being run next to it so it doesn't knock it out. Here, I can do it. You want me to?
No, don't break it.
You're not going to break it, I guarantee you. A forklift may break it, but a person cannot break it. We use this to demonstrate during our trade shows, and people just stand there and go, just to see how hard they can hit and it can bounce.
Punching bag.
So,
Urban cowboy.
Something, yeah. Anyway, just to summarize, the seal and tile enclosures are a great product for indoor carpet applications where aesthetics is critical, security of your access points is critical, as well as protecting them from the environmental controls. And I believe this is it.
On that,
Absolutely.
One, from aesthetics, I can see that. From an install, how much more time does it take? And what's the additional cost? I mean, is this going to add 10% to our total bill or 30%?
So if you look at purely cost, we're going to add about 20% to your, let's say,
between labor and AP?
Purely from an AP perspective, because labor is such a variable, depends on if you do it here or you do it somewhere somewhere else. But also think about maintenance, right? Or think about if you put the APs above the seal and tile grid, the person that put it in
this room would do that.
Huh?
No one in this room.
Yeah. Yeah, it's everybody else.
You would.
Yeah. But
you're going to pay me to do it.
So you put them above, and then you disappear, and the next guy goes in, and it's time to refresh, or find them out. You have a problem, and you're looking and saying, okay, it's somewhere. So it does add initially, incremental cost, but over the lifetime, it saves you money in its quicker deployment, because you actually also think about the labor it's using it. Typically, structured cabling guys are the guys that are deploying this, not sort of higher level, layer 2, layer 3, and up people who actually deploy the access point themselves. So from my perspective, you're saving on labor. Okay. from the life cycle of the product, you're also saving on maintenance and refresh. Because now you have a platform where you come in, you know where the access point is, you can either remove it, replace it, or you can configure it the way you need it, or troubleshoot it, and you know exactly where it is, you don't have to spend time looking for it. All right, so we have few different versions. This is a product that supports 3702i. Now think about the Halo, right? The Halo module from Cisco. So great product, but it now increases the weight of the product from 3 pounds to 10 pounds. Okay, so since think about that, and you put in additional incremental pressure or weight on a ceiling tile grid, there's challenges there. It increases the overall size of the deployment by 25%. So we came out with a product to support the Halo modules as well. Similar ceiling tile enclosure with a removable door. All you need is a different door for the Halo module, and you have the deployment right there.
Do you cable those then to support above the ceiling grid,
Yeah.
as opposed to just resting on the grid itself?
So you could do both ways. Yeah, for a Halo, yes.
Okay.
For the other ones, you know.
That there are hooks and everything on the top of the tile enclosure.
If it's provided, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
What kind of services do you guys offer in terms of, like, if I want to come up and say, hey, look, I need to do X, Y, Z. I mean, do you guys have a product selector helper that we can call into and say, this is what I'm trying to do, this is the scenario?
He's sitting right there.
No, that's not an answer. That is not an answer. That is not an answer. At least until he gets into Twitter.
What is
So on our websites, we have 2 choices. We have what we call a radio selector and a product selector or product selector. A radio selector, pretty much, you go in by Wi-Fi access point, Wi-Fi manufacturing vendor access point, and it gives you top runners from antenna perspective, enclosure, cabling, mounts, that kind of stuff. So let's say top 10 list. If you go into product selector, it gives you an option of selecting antennas by frequency, by gain, by beam width. So if you know what you're doing, it is a more technical tool. You just have to know what you're looking at. It can give you, if you want jumpers, it can give you what connector do you want, what length do you want, what diameter cable do you want. Many more options, but you have to understand those options.
On those, are those custom made? Are you saying, I want a 60 by 75 degree directional with LMR 200 with RPTNCs on the end, and then you build that? Or is that just saying of your
We're giving you
SKUs you have already made, pick which one is going to point to it?
Yeah, it's more of a ladder. We want to get to the point where we're doing what you're asking. Today we don't have that tool, but we're working on that tool to make the configurator much simpler to use, more sophisticated and simpler to use.
But if I can put the pieces together on your selector, you do have that product.
Yeah. No. Well, yeah. Well,
We have the parts to put all of that together, so it wouldn't be specific to that.
But
For instance,
if
the
I
cables
use
would
your
be
selector
separate.
today and I
Yes.
get an
You'll find the
answer,
product.
You have a product.
Yes.
You might not have what I want, but if it's in there, you have it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Correct. Any other questions for me?
Do you see a lot of people looking to roll their own, or like he's talking about, I want X, Y, and Z component, cable, connector, antenna element, and everything, or do you see a big demand for that? I
So
guess.
I would say this: on antennas, the answer is no. On cable, yes.
Yeah, I can easily pick from your thing, but my application is I need 20 with 15-foot connectors and 4 with 6s, and yeah.
On antennas, we have a pretty broad selection, probably the broadest selection in the market for Wi-Fi antennas. Clearly, you can come up with new stuff that we don't have, but I would say our offer is you can find something very similar.
What's your standard cable length?
3 feet. 3 feet on antennas. If it comes with a cable length, it's 3 feet. On the handrail antennas, 15 feet. But then on the high gain, we typically just do the connectors out the back, and then you get the jumper cables.
Yeah, if your question was what's the typical for antennas or typical for jumpers? So
Great answer.
for jumpers, he answered. I mean, for antennas, for jumpers, you name it. There's no. It's
Right, 3, 6, 9, 12, 15.
12.5. Yeah. It's
So there's been an uptick sort of in the compact antennas that have come to market lately. I didn't see any of those in your presentation. You have those just not included in the
correct.
content.
We call
the
them
little short one.
small form factor antennas.
Bantam, yeah, that was it.
So we call them small form factor antennas, and basically we're taking our high runners and we're reducing the size by 50 to 70% without sacrificing the performance. We have not chosen to do this here because we weren't sure about timing. We had a lot of topics to cover. But for example, we have a product, this is our one of our high runners, which is a 6 dBi omnidirectional antenna. We have launched 3 months ago, maybe a little more, product which has identical specs but is 2/3 smaller.
The Bantam antennas, they're dual band?
Yes.
Yes. We have done similar stuff for our high runner directional antennas. We're constantly seeking what are the other antennas. So when we think of aesthetics, we're looking at 3 categories. We're looking at concealed, and Dennis showed you a few examples of concealed. We're looking at small form factor, how to take existing stuff and make it smaller. And these are the examples of antennas where we're reducing it by 50 to 60%. And we're looking at camouflaged. So camouflage is a category we're still thinking about, but we're showing plenty of examples where people just painted the stuff into the environment with non-metallic paint. And that's a very good way to camouflage your access points or your antennas.
Painting is okay. I know a lot of antenna manufacturers are gun shy about warranty on painted APs or antennas and all that. Non-metallic,
Yeah.
right? I mean, there's some general rules you have to follow, but
Correct.
Correct.